Hi, hello everyone. In today's session, we'll discuss about how to write a letter of invitation for visitors to come to Canada for a short period of time. When you make an application for a visitor visa, a letter of invitation is needed and it will be written by the persons in Canada. And of course, you need to remember that a letter of invitation doesn't guarantee that VIRCC will issue a visa. And the visa officers will assess you as a visitor to decide whether you meet the terms of Canada's immigration law. The factors that the IRCC officer will consider, including travel history, financial situations, or the establishments in original country. For example, if you have a family to come back, to go back to take care of, if you have a work or if you have property, etc. So those factors will convince the IRCC that if granted a visa, the visitor will not remain in Canada and they will return to their original country. Now, in this part, we will discuss more about what information that you need to provide in the letter of invitation. As you can see on the left screen and the right screen. On the left side of the screen, you can see that is the information of the person who write the letter. So basically, it's the person inside of Canada. And on the right side of the screen, you can see the information of the person who are invited to come to Canada. So that is a person outside of the Canada. So first, we can talk about the inside of Canada. It needs to have the name, date of birth, address, and telephone number in Canada, and status in Canada. For example, if you are a Canadian citizen or permanent resident or student or temporary worker, etc., you need to put it in. And the details of your family, for example, if you are living with your husband, with your wife, and your children, you need to name them and their date of birth. And a job title if you are working, and the employment informations. If you are not working, that is fine too, because as a visitor visa, you don't need to prove for any income at all. The documents that attach along with the invitation letter, including a photocopy of your status in Canada, the proof of address, the other ID. For example, you can provide a driver license, a copy of driver license, health card, passport, and paper to prove for the relationship, if applicable, and an employment letter if applicable. Okay. On the right side now is the information of the persons outside of Canada. It needs to have the name, the date of birth, address, and telephone number in the living country, and the passport number applicable. But remember that the name of the person on the invitation letter, it needs to be matched with the person on the passport. Okay, and the most important thing here is the purpose of the trip, like why that person need to come to Canada, for example, for attending a graduation ceremony, or attending a wedding, or attending a funeral, or maybe even seeing my family and seeing a beautiful life here in Canada. But you need to have a purpose of the trip, and you need to put how long that person plans to stay in Canada, like from when to when. For example, from May 2nd to July 1st, for example. Okay, and the informations about where the person will stay and how he or she will pay for things, and the informations if that person is working or not working, and if that person has any establishments at his or her home country. So what you are seeing here on the screen is a sample of an invitation letter. So remember that there is no template for writing a letter of invitations. However, all the informations of the inviter and invitees that we discussed in the previous part need to be included in the letter of invitation. Okay, so let's get started, and let's assume that the letter is written by me. I'm a permanent resident, and my husband is Canadian citizen. I'm inviting my mom, who is living in Vietnam and holding the Vietnamese passport, to come to Canada. The purpose is for welcome my infant, my baby, because I'm expecting a baby by the end of the month. And I'm going to invite her from June, let's say from June 20th until August 31st. Okay, so let's get started. In this part, I have my name and my address and phone number and email. So that is the part that I put down the contact information. And here is the city and the province and the date that I'm writing this letter of invitation. And then down here, that is the address of, you can put the address of the General Consulate of Canada in your country, or maybe the Embassy of Canada in your country. And then the title of that invitation, like regarding invitation letter to invite my mom, Mama Nguyen. Like in here, you can put your mom's name, or maybe if you invite your uncle, you can say invitation letter to invite my uncle, and then put down his name on that. And down here, dear officer, you can put down dear officer, or maybe dear sir, madam, or to whom it may concern. It is up to you. And then after that, that is the part one. The part one is inviters informations and the purpose and the time of inviting. My name here, I put in here, and my date of birth and my status here in Canada. And then my husband's name, and then my his date of birth and his status here in Canada, and the address that we are living now, and the phone number. And we would like to verify the purpose to invite my mother, Mrs. Mama Nguyen, to visit my family and to visit the popular tourist attractions in Canada for a period starting on. So that is the time that I'm inviting my mom to come to Canada. Okay, and then ending on this, put it down in here. So that is part one. And then let's move to the part two, that is invitees information, and reconfirm about the purpose of the trip and some reason that invitee will return her original country, like in my case, my mom. So I put down like this. Mrs. Nguyen is a citizen of Vietnam, and then here is her date of birth and her address and her phone number here, and the Vietnamese passport. And of course, I should put down the expiry date as well. And my mother will stay in Canada for how many months? I put in down here. And then she will be back to Vietnam for taking care of my dad. And my other siblings and their children are living in Vietnam too. So my mom will be back for them as well. I'm pregnant and expecting the baby by the end of June 2024. This is my first child, and my mom and I want to share the happiness with each other. So in this one, it's going to be kind of like convincing my mom will return her home country, because she has my dad over there and her other children living over there as well. And then let's move to the other part, like where the invitee will live and the cost for the trip. Like I put down the sentence. While in Canada, she will stay with me at my current residence at the above address of, like I put down the address. And I vow to provide lodging, board, and to pay all expenses incurred regarding her visits to Canada. And I vow to be legally responsible for her, and she will cover the flight cost. Like, I know, even though that we pay for her flight tickets, but at least she has something to prove that she can afford for that flight ticket. And the passport is, you can put like other information if applicable to you. If not, that is fine too. I put down like I'm working at ABC company, and the phone number in here with the annual income of around like the annual income. And my husband is working full time at 123 company, and the phone number in here, and the annual income of around, like we put down the income. And then we undertake to make sure that Mrs. Nguyen will not remain in Canada further than the period allowed for her stay, and she will return to Vietnam as stated by the conditions of her visitor visa. And taking into consideration the previous, we are requesting you to kindly grant visitor visas to Mrs. Nguyen. And then down here is the documentation that you are sending home to my mom, so that she can use that document, and complete her visitor visa applications. Okay, so first I'm sending her the permanent resident card, a copy of PR card, and my husband's citizenship card, because in the letter I provide the info like I am permanent resident and my husband is Canadian citizen, and the birth certificate to prove for my relationship between me and my mom, and the driver license and for my husband and me, a notice of assessment, and the bank statement, and the mortgage agreement. So all those to prove for my address and my income as well, so that she can come to visit me and afford for them, like afford to pay for the cost of living for her in during the time that she's in Canada. And down here is the a sentence that we often put down, like, should you need any further information, please feel free to contact me by address below, above. And then sincerely yours, daughter Nguyen and Ahmad Lodi. Let's say that is my husband. I can sign in here and my husband can sign in this part. Yeah, and then there are some countries that need to be the signature need to be notarized by the lawyer or the commissioners, but in some country it doesn't need to. For example, in the case of Vietnam, it is unnecessary to notarize the signature because it's not a requirement from the government of Canada. So that is the end of the letter. I hope that everyone who invite the family members to come to Canada to visit you will get the visa very soon. And good luck to everyone. Okay, bye now.